In terms of the fourth quarter, they had all but one of their buckets was inside the paint. Was that them just being able to get into the paint and get whatever they want because of that point of attack defense like you were talking about?
Yeah, they had that and 9 free throws.
Caitlin Clark recently held a private meeting with the New York Liberty, and it could change everything for Indiana's future. While the Fever have stumbled without their star running the offense, Clark may already be setting the stage for a move that would devastate every Indiana fan. This wasn't about PR or endorsements. It was about 2028, when her rookie contract ends, and how Indiana's own mistakes may have already pushed the league's brightest star to consider leaving. If you support Caitlin, drop Free Caitlin in the comments. Let's break it down. Interviewed.
We should have won this game. There was inconsistencies in the officiating. Wait until you see the second half. And I have everything.
Picture this. Center court against New York. From the opening tip, something feels wrong. The Fever look disoriented. Their offensive sets collapse. Players stand around, waiting for leadership that isn't there. Without Clark directing traffic, Indiana's entire offense falls apart. Just individuals on the floor with no plan or rhythm.
Finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It really is a day-to-day thing. And I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. It's anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So, we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
The Liberty didn't just win that night. They dismantled Indiana piece by piece. They exposed weaknesses so obvious you had to wonder how this team survives without Clark. New York hit 51.9% from deep, while Indiana managed just 25%. That wasn't bad luck. It was the reality of not having someone to create open looks or break down defenses. The scoreboard read 98-77, but it didn't reflect the chaos in Indiana's huddles or how quickly they unraveled. Their worst loss of the season dropped them to 4-6 without Clark in charge. Interview 4.
Howard looking backdoor for Mitchell, not there. Shot clock down to 7. McDonald feed inside, and it's Howard for 2. It's good recognition.
Mitchell gave everything she had to keep Indiana afloat. She broke the franchise record for career threes with number 607, scored 16 points, and proved her all-star talent. But the frustration showed on her face as she tried to carry a weight never meant for one player. Sophie Cunningham, stepping in for Lexi Hull, delivered pure grit, putting up 12 points, embracing contact, and fighting through every possession like her career depended on it. Cunningham refused to quit, battling until the final buzzer.
I don't get it. Breanna Stewart, Aja Wilson, wait until you see what they did for Kelsey Plum tonight. They get all the calls, touch fouls, anything. And guess what happens? Aaliyah Boston, the best center in the game, and guess what happens to her? She gets called for every touch foul and ends up in foul trouble this entire season and is still putting up MVP-type numbers. What happens with Caitlin Clark? Have you ever seen her get a touch foul? Phantom call? No. The physicality, that's the WNBA when it comes to Caitlin Clark. But anybody else, the physicality disappears and it's foul after foul.
Even with that fight, the real problem was obvious. Aaliyah Boston, usually dominant inside, was held to just 7 points on 1 of 8 shooting. The Liberty smothered her, daring her to pass, knowing that without Clark, no one would make them pay. Boston's struggles highlighted just how critical Clark is. Ari McDonald tried a run point, but the spark never came. Indiana looked exactly like what New York expected. A team with no identity without Clark. This wasn't just a tough loss. It was a collapse. And it raised a bigger question. Can this franchise actually build a championship team around her? Interview 6. This is where Indiana's...
What does it take to get a team to be more consistent, especially from you on the coaching side of things?
Yeah, I think a couple things. There's always got to be a high attention to knowing personnel. Oftentimes you don't get a lot of practice time, and so going over a lot of their sets, which you do, but at the end of the day, making sure we know our personnel, who we're going to run off the three-point line, what we're willing to give up. We've got to make sure that there's a high attention to detail there.
Asterisk, centered entirely on how they handled Clark's injury. When your franchise player goes down, how the front office responds says everything about its competence. Indiana's approach wasn't just flawed. It was sloppy enough to make people doubt if they can protect their most valuable star at all. Interview 7. From questionable
Here's Mitchell off the screen, but can't connect on the three. Boston offensive rebound, rolls it in, and a foul. The two bigs bring the ball up the floor, and Hamby wasn't ready for that.
How about that change of pace? That burst like a guard gets downhill to the rim.
And murky recovery timelines. Everything about the process felt unprofessional. Fans, analysts, and rival teams all watched Indiana mishandle the basics of injury management. For the single most important player in the league, Interview 8, Coach Stephanie.
Lob inside. Boston too far underneath. Shot clock down to 5. Kick out Mitchell. Oh, yes!
Made things worse. Before one game, she described Clark's status as day-to-day, the same recycled phrase used when Clark missed 2.5 weeks earlier. That vagueness fueled speculation and left fans frustrated over the lack of transparency. The timing couldn't have been worse. With the All-Star game approaching and the WNBA desperate for its biggest star to be visible, Indiana gave no clarity and left everyone guessing. That's not how you treat the generational player carrying ratings and ticket sales. Interview 9. But
busted them all up. We went to the same high school.
Howard left alone. Answers with a 3.
Injuries wasn't the only problem. A deeper issue is Indiana's disconnect in how they actually use Clark on the floor. She thrives in an up-tempo system, pushing pace, creating before defenses react, and using her vision to elevate teammates. That's when she's unstoppable.
LA is so dangerous. They don't look like a 5-win team to me.
Oh, and there's Tipson sending it back.
10. Instead, the coaching staff keeps forcing her into slow half-court sets that kill her rhythm. They want patience and structure, but it drains all energy. It's like owning a Ferrari and forcing it to crawl in rush hour traffic. Clark's passing and creativity shine in transition. Slow the pace, and you minimize not just her scoring, but her entire impact. This isn't just strategy, it's personal. Clark knows her strengths, and she sees how bad Indiana looks in a style that doesn't fit. Between injury confusion, bad coaching fits, and weak support, she's already eyeing other.
This is what I was talking about with Sophie Cunningham. Look at this. She literally grabbed her around her neck, and they called this a jump ball, and then threw her down the next play.
That brings us to the moment that has Indiana fans panicking and Liberty fans dreaming. A viral photo showed something no one expected. Caitlin Clark, her agent Aaron Kane, and New York Liberty officials locked in.
And then Aaliyah Boston, like I said, she didn't touch her. They put her in foul trouble all season long. They're just calling stuff to call stuff. The refs made this game about them. Aaliyah Boston, again, she's an all-star player. Look at these hits. Good thing Caitlin Clark didn't play because it was just a sloppy basketball game between the officials and the Los Angeles Sparks. Look at this. They called this a foul instead of a block. And then there's Aaliyah Boston again. That's 3 fouls where she didn't touch anybody. And that's our best player, and wonder why we lose this game. Michaela Timpson, watch these 2 calls in a row. She didn't do anything. She got hit on that one, and they called a foul on her.
It wasn't casual chit-chat. At a league function, this was deliberate. The photo showed Clark alongside coach Sandy Brondello, All-Stars Brianna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu and her agent. That detail changed everything. When an agent is present with another team's coach and stars, it isn't about selfies. It's about business. Kane's presence confirmed this was more than friendly. It was about the future. You don't bring your agent unless real decisions are being...
And this is fourth quarter. Look at this. This one pissed me off. Kelsey Plum seriously elbows Lexi Hall, then purposely steps over so she couldn't get up. Lexi Hall can't believe it. That's a foul. The ref was right there in front of her. And then here we go. And they kept McDonald in foul trouble the entire game. There's 2 in a row where she didn't do anything. Look at that. Just had her arms in the air, but they gave, this is the fourth quarter, and they just kept giving every single call. I like Leah Boston finally getting pissed off. Then they call this away from the ball in the fourth quarter. Nothing going on. Just to put him at the line, and then Kelsey Plum, another one. But when Howard drives and gets slashed across the face, no foul, just out of bounds.
Meeting came right after Indiana's latest collapse, and their mishandling of Clark's recovery. Clark watched her team crumble without her, saw the front office fumble her health, and then sat down with the most organized franchise in the league. The Liberty are everything Indiana isn't: sharp management, MVPs like Stewart and Ionescu, depth with Mourinho Hannes and Jonquil Jones, and a coach in Brondello who runs a fast, free-flowing system. New York thrives on chaos and maximizes its stars. It's exactly what Clark needs. Interview 14.
In terms of the fourth quarter, they had all but one of their buckets was inside the paint. Was that them just being able to get into the paint and get whatever they want because of that point of attack defense like you were talking about?
Yeah, they had that and 9 free throws.
Salary space, the culture, and most importantly, the structure to support a generational talent like Clark. Her rookie deal runs through 2026, but by 2028, she controls her future. And this meeting wasn't about if she leaves. It was about when. Indiana's window to fix this is closing fast. That viral photo wasn't just a snapshot. It was a warning. Clark is already picturing life after Indiana. The message is loud and clear. While New York builds her future, Indiana keeps repeating the mistakes that...
I mean, look, there are going to be days where you make shots and miss shots. I mean, that's part of it. I thought, AB had a really good look at the end. And so sometimes it just doesn't fall your way. So we're looking more about execution. I didn't feel like our execution was all that good at the end. I felt like in our reset timeout, it wasn't very good either. And, that's on us, continuing to make sure that we are going over that, as often as possible when we have our practice time, and making sure that we're sharp in those areas.
Roster proves they know how to build around stars. With Stewart and Ionescu leading the charge, in a fast-paced, high IQ offense built on movement and shooting, perfect for her strengths. Meanwhile, Indiana continues proving they don't know how to maximize what they have. Their play without Clark exposed a broken system surrounding her. For a competitor like Clark, the choice is obvious: a system that restricts you or one that unleashes you. Having already missed 10 games this season, with her injuries mishandled and her coach offering vague updates, Clark now has every reason to look elsewhere.
Here is Boston on a handoff to Cunningham. Head full of steam to the rim, and a foul. Cunningham and one.
I mean, this is just a really good screen by Boston to give her a step. The switch. Sophie's having a good time.
The path forward couldn't be clearer. One future keeps Clark stuck in Indiana, wasting her prime years in dysfunction. The other places her in New York, the centerpiece of a dynasty, with a sharp front office, a winning culture, and a player-first system. The Liberty offered a clear road to long-term success.
Cunningham, Coulson, give and go, and Coulson hits a three.
That's called a boomerang pass.
That private meeting with the Liberty wasn't gossip. It was real, and it carried a warning. Indiana risks losing the most electrifying player in women's basketball because of its own dysfunction. Erin Kane's presence alongside Brondello, Stewart, and Ionescu proved this wasn't casual. It was calculated. If you stand with Caitlin, you should feel excited for her future, but terrified for Indiana's present. Should she bet on Indiana improving or join a team already built to win? Comment free Caitlin if you know the answer. Like, subscribe and hit the bell. You won't want to miss what happens next.